Well, this is a perfect scenario for us to talk about fall for planting. This area here on the other side need an extreme amount of overplanting or replanting of shrubs and material, and it's a perfect time to do it because fall is really for planting. Anything you put in this time of the year has a lot of advantages to spring planting. Number one, the maintenance factor is very crucial because you don't have that long of a period where you have to keep watering them once a week. You're by that real hot spell, you're into a much cooler venue of weather, so the maintenance factor gives you more time off to do other things. So essentially we would, if you wanted to re-landscape this area, we recommend that you bring a photo of a digital photo of your area, bring it down to the store with us. We'll give some measurements, and then we can landscape right on site whatever you might want to do, going through a selection of material. This is a very unique azalea, and for the folks that have really big azaleas, this is one of the truisms in this business. Anything in the azalea family or the ericaceae, which also includes mountain laurel and rhododendrons, can actually be cut back. Now this shrub was quite large until Steve whacked it almost to the ground, and as you can see, the growth is coming back, and in about 2 years he'll have a plant worth about $50 after all that time that he waited for it. And then we can associate everything else behind it by filling it in with assorted material. This is also a great time if you want to put some color into your yard. You can add some mums, some asters, hardy mums, hardy asters, cabbage and kale for the winter time, and also a tremendous time in about a month or so around Halloween. You can plant those nice bulbs, which are going to be very, very beautiful in the springtime, but you do have to plan for them in the fall. And the fall planting, we recommend doing it as late as possible, as late as Halloween. And in the springtime, you will reap the rewards of all your efforts. But this is the only time of the year we can plant hardy bulbs like daffodils, tulips, hyacinths, and the sort. When you want to configure how you're going to put your shrubbery around your house, and you want to get a nice edge of a bed, and you don't have any type of eye line or sight line, you could take your garden hose, which you have at home, lay the garden hose on the ground, and make your configuration as to how far out you want to come with the bed. So we want this bed to come kind of a curly, since it's a nice straight run across the house. We want to make sure we have enough room for our planting bed. So now what you merely do is take your edger and just follow the edge of the hose. This way here you'll know where the edge of the bed is. All right, now that we have the hose set up and we have our bed cut out so we know exactly where we're going to live, we're going to stake and place all our shrubs. Once we place all our shrubs, then we'll follow up with the next step. All right, because of the difference in location and sunlight, we've chosen plants that can grow in light shade or in heavy sun. So for the basic part of this area here, we've placed 5 shrubs on both sides, which will take those conditions. So we have a little height on both corners and a little bit less height underneath the window, and then of course we terrace the whole thing down. All right, at first I told Steve he should really turn this whole thing over, but since he has so many old roots and stuff in here, we decided we're just going to individually treat each hole one by one. So the first step is you really want to make sure that the ground is loose enough to hold the area, or to make a hole in the area to accommodate the plant, and use a crowbar or a pick if you'd like, and hopefully we won't run into those Connecticut potatoes that we have, which seem to be the largest rocks in the world, especially when you want to put them where you want to put them. So basically we're going to loosen up the hole. We've already marked where the pot was. We want to go twice the width of the pot. So you start digging the hole, and these plants don't particularly have to go too deep into the ground. They're in the rhododendron family, and rhododendrons don't like to be buried. They like their root systems to be up near the top of the soil. So basically we're going to just go around and around and loosen up the soil. So what you do is you take the plant out of the pot, and now we notice that the root system is pretty loose, so we don't have to do a lot of breaking up. But we are going to use the pot as an indicator to see how big the hole we need and how deep we need it. That looks perfect, because we don't want this to go real low. We're going to kind of mound the soil up around it. The best thing you can put in a planting hole, any type of planting hole, is a product called bumper crop. Bumper crop contains 10 elements that are essential to a plant's survivability and growth. So what you merely do is just take the material out of the bag, and don't be stingy with it. You want to get it right in contact with the roots. So we want to put a generous amount in there. Then we'll take and place the plant. We want to get the best side out, of course. Check it out in the hole, see it's perfect, and just backfill it.
With dirt or bumper crop?
Well, with the dirt you take out of the hole. See, after you put the soil in the hole, you take the heel of your foot, you work your way around. The reason you do this is to eliminate any air pockets. Air is not good. We want it to come in contact with the roots of the plant. So basically we'll plant the whole thing, then we'll come back and we'll water everything one shot. Okay, we're going to use a dark or dyed brown cedar mulch today. The reason why I'm using cedar mulch, I think it gives it a nice fine texture, plus it doesn't draw any insects, and it's made from the bark of the tree. So the key with any type of mulch is to dump it out and spread it out a little bit, and you don't want to put it any more than 2 to 3 inches. So you can kind of dump it around. And do bag by bag so you don't overload the area. And then it's a hands and knees project. You don't want too much mulch right near the neck of the plant. You want the least amount there. You want the most amount on the outsides where the roots are. So we don't want to really load it up. And this will be safe around the foundation because it won't draw any insects. Of course you could use a rake like normal guys do, but I guess I'm more of a hands-on person, so. And it enhances the plants because it gives them like a nice base. And that's why we give that little edge along the outside of the planting. Now look at how nice that plant looks with the mulch around it. Yeah. All right, the most important thing is to water these plants right after they've been installed. We like to kind of give them a good soaking. We should actually reduce the hose a little bit because we want them to really go on a trickle. So if we can facsimilate a trickle, we'd really just want this hose to sit around for about 10 to 15 or even 20 minutes. Once a week, you give them a saturation. The feeling is we give them 1 bath versus 7 showers. Of course, if the weather patterns continue the way they've been, you probably won't have to water quite as much, but we try to instruct our folks to water them at least once a week, and the whole key would probably be into November, believe it or not. So don't put those hoses quite away. If we have a dry November, the plants actually still take up water all the way through to November while the ground is not frozen. Once the ground freezes, of course, then it becomes a whole different story. But you really do want to give them a good bath once a week, and each plant should be treated the same way. If you have large areas, there are soaker hoses available which actually bleed the water out. They're made from recycled tires, and you kind of weave them underneath the mulch. You turn the faucet on 1 quarter turn once a week, and you let it go the whole day. This is also good for vegetable gardens and flower gardens because it puts the water directly where the plant needs it, at the root. If you stand here, and it makes me crazy going by somebody's house and seeing them do this, and they really think they're watering. They're really not watering. They're actually just giving the plants a nice wash or wash and dry, and it's probably the worst thing in the heat of the summer. So again, the water should be put down to the base of the plant, and try to do it in the morning. Of course, if you're using the soaker system, you want to run it all day long. Now that we're finished with Steve's house, it's actually very beautiful. It's a nice transformation. Being that this is a little cape, both sides are exactly the same distance, so the whole landscape is pretty much symmetrical. One side mirrors the other side. The whole project here, which is basically 10 shrubs and 10 bags of mulch, is somewhere between $800 and $1,000. So this is something you can do. The $1,000 that you put into this and a little bit of your time and labor will increase the value of your house by about $5,000. The curb appeal is the key to any sale of any house.